Hi, welcome to my retirement roadmap. This is the second in a series of videos talking about legal documents, or probably better known as estate planning. And I know in the last video I was like, let's set the stage here about a cruise ship going down. But I also I'm going to talk about another scenario because I think it makes it a little bit more relatable when it comes to this durable power of attorney for property, and also one that's similar for the Advanced Healthcare Directive. But we are talking right here in particular about the durable power of attorney for property, which includes finances. Okay, so I did get permission to share this from my partner. He said I could go ahead and share it, and it's a good story, and hopefully I won't get too long winded. Okay, so here we are. It's almost 3 years ago, and I was in our motorhome with our two Basinji girls. Uh, we were very much looking forward to a nice, we call it a spa retreat. The whole week we get to ourselves, we get to do what we want to do, etc. We're very much looking forward to this. Okay, and Jeff, he had gone back to our home in Walnut Creek. He was still working. He had business stuff he needed to take care of, and also he wanted to celebrate his mother's birthday. They wanted to celebrate it together, so that was the plan. So day one into it, I'm kind of taking the afternoon nap with the Basinji girls, and I'm waking up, and my iPhone is going crazy. It says, "Hey, listen, you need to pay attention because a person who's designated you as their emergency contact has taken a hard fall, according to the Apple Watch. So let's take some action here." So I immediately called Jeff on his phone, and he replies, "I did not fall off the ladder. I did not." It's just, he said it several times, and I'm like, well, your Apple Watch and thinking something's going on here. So I said, let me just make a phone call. So I hung up with him, and I called our friend close by. I said, can you check on Jeff? So she goes and finds him. Ladder's fallen over. He's on the ground. He missed this concrete wall by about 6 inches, right? And Jeff's telling her, hey, listen, I did not fall off the ladder, several times, and she's thinking the evidence is speaking something to the contrary here. And almost exactly at that same time, the paramedics are knocking on the door. They want in. They think something's going on. Okay. So what happened is he did fall off the ladder, and I guess the right way to say this, he fractured his pelvis. And luckily, big shout out to Apple Watch, all this sort of thing. The paramedics were there. He's off to the hospital, to the emergency room. And I moved really quickly, 3 hours. Okay. I had the girls packed up in the car, and we were on the road within 3 hours to travel 500 miles back to the Bay Area. So where I'm going with this is, there's Jeff. Okay. He truly could not make decisions for himself. He couldn't take care of any financial stuff. He's not really there. So he's incapacitated, I guess is the right term. Now, I know I've said this story a particular way. Now, it turns out that we are legally married, and we get special, I don't want to say special, but because we are legally married and we're spouses of each other, we can take care of these things much easier than if we weren't married. But for sake of this story, let's just say we weren't. And so Jeff needs somebody who can speak for him, both in a capacity for finances and help, the healthcare. And there's the hospital, the emergency room. They need some information. So that's where these things come into place and why they're important to have. And definitely not that difficult to get as well. So I point out that let's take another example. Let's say that a parent, for example, maybe a parent of ours becomes incapacitated for whatever reason, okay, and can't make decisions. And we're like, how do we help this person? I mean, for example, my father, he had dementia. He had Alzheimer's, actually. So he was in that situation. And yeah, you need a way to take care of them because they can't anymore. And when you have this durable power of attorney, in our first case here, we're talking about property or finances. Okay. If you have this in place, it makes it so much easier because otherwise you got to go to a court and you say, hey, listen, I need to help this person. We got to take care of them. They can't speak for themselves. So that's what this conservatorship, that's a tricky one to say. Okay. But it avoids going through that process. And there's another one that's called guardianship. And I know they're similar, but they're different. And I think part of it's, some states call it one, some of the other. But the point is, because we have a durable power of attorney for property, including finances, okay, we don't need to go to a court and get their permission to take care of this person who's kind of like waiting in limbo until that happens. All right. There are also two types of power of attorney. The way how they take effect. The first is immediate, which means as soon as that document is notarized, whatever the state law requires for it to take effect. Okay, if it's immediate, that means they can act on your own, not a problem at all. They don't need to wait for anything. The other term is springing, which means we got to wait till there's some incapacity where this person can't do anything on their own. That typically means you got to get a medical person to say this person is incapacitated, and then I guess you might even have to verify that legally to say, yep, we're all good to go here. Okay, so that's a springing one. I even know of, again, I'm not a lawyer, so I might be don't have this quite right, but I think there's at least one state in the United States that does not allow for springing. I mean, they're all immediate. If you want a power of attorney for this, it's all immediate. And I kind of looked at our documents. I shouldn't say I have been looking at our documents as I've been preparing for this. And I do know that for my personal, the power of attorney I have for me on property and finances, that Jeff is the first person. Okay. So that's immediate for him. He can take care of anything that's, separate. So that's a separate account or whatever that's just in my name. He's got immediate power of attorney to take care of that. Okay. Then we have, as we go down the chain, the successor down, so after him, it is springing. So before that person takes anything over, for power of attorney, there has to be incapacity on my part. So just something to consider. I think when I redo these documents in the future, I will probably get rid of the springing and just make it all immediate. That's kind of where I'm thinking. But it's definitely something that you need to consider. The other thing that I hear over and over again about this power of attorney for property and finances is you really need to make sure your financial institutions accept that power of attorney. Because some of them are like, they're pretty rigid. They want to make sure. So let's say you have a brokerage account at Fidelity or Schwab or Vanguard or wherever. Those are the three discount that I always mention. If you have one there, you say, I've got this power of attorney. Here it is. Do you accept it? And this is in particular, I said brokerage account, probably should have said a retirement account, okay? Because those are individual accounts. So do you accept this? Do you accept this power of attorney? Just make sure that that's okay. All right? I think that's enough for the durable power of attorney for property, including finances. But the idea here is you just want to make sure it's in place so that you don't have to go through the court system to get permission to act on another person. Okay, this is very related is the Advanced Healthcare Directive, and there's a lot more to the healthcare stuff. You've probably heard of living wills, and that's kind of out of the scope of what I'm talking about here. I'm just talking about here is a document, a legal document that says I can, I've given a trusted person to make medical decisions if I can't. That's really what this is all about. And there's some state stuff that goes on too. I think in California they're coming up with something new that has Pulse or something like that. Also, if you go to a hospital, they may have their own thing that they want to get in place as well. But just right out the gate when we're doing our these legal documents, you've got the Advanced Healthcare Director. directive, it's good for now type of thing. And the other thing that I would say here is that you will want to consider uploading these documents to your medical provider. Okay, so for example, we were also in the hospital, we were going through the check-in process. The during I guess it's called intake or whatever. They wanted to know about this advanced healthcare directive. Do you have it? And also she was saying, hey, listen, you've got it. You can actually upload it into your medical record, and then we have that on file. So that's something to take into account as well. Those are those two documents. Again, these are state documents. The final one that I'll talk about is just a regular will. Okay, again, this is a state document. I think it's very important for everybody to know that all wills go through probate. So you may think you may say, "Hey, listen, I've got a will, I'm covered." Now we're going to get to the revocable living trust shortly. But if you say, "I've got my will, I'm good to go," just remember that is public. And wills don't really they don't have I like to say the term they are powerless. They don't have any power until after you die. So there has to be after you're dead before they take place. And there's this other thing too, intestate, which I think is good to know. I heard this terminology. It's like there's always a plan. When you die, there is always a plan. So if you don't have a will, you're going to go through this process, intestacy, or can't say that right very well, but that goes through the court system. It all goes through there, and these wills, the standard will, just make sure you understand that they are public and they will go through probate. So I think that that's important. Oh, I did want to also talk about these three: the durable power of attorney for property, finance stuff, the advanced healthcare directive, and the will. Those are all state documents, and they are you really want to have these documents done in your state of residency. So where I'm going with this is, let's say you got all these things together 20 years ago, everything's taken care of, and then you end up moving. I mean, I'm targeting people in retirement, right? People sometimes move, they go from one place to another. But if you pass away in a state that is not the state where these documents are set up, that can be a little tricky because they are based on state law from where they originate. The point I'm making here is if you move, okay, you should redo all these things in your new, the state where you're a new resident. Just will make things a lot easier as you go through that process when they're called into action. Okay, so I think that's probably enough for now for this video, and I look forward to talking about revocable living trusts in the next video. Thanks.